A lot of people misunderstand God. A lot of people misunderstand what God is. A lot of people misunderstand what the idea of God is and what it truly is. Some people are in the camp even that they tell you, well, there's no possible way you can know what God is or what God truly is. As long as we're on this earthly plane, there's no way you can know what God is or what happens after you die until you die. Like, you can't know that for a fact until you actually leave this planet. Some people are in that camp as well. But again, it comes down to a consciousness thing. The more you raise your consciousness, the more information you download. And the downloaded information that you get once you do raise your consciousness hits you like a ton of bricks as far as truth goes. Because if you know what's true, you know what's true. You feel it. You feel it in like the core of you, who you are. More so than you've probably ever felt anything in your life. And God was the same way for me. Growing up, my family was Catholic. My grandparents were Catholic, and I'd go into church with them every few weekends. They'd ask me if I'd want to go, and I'd say yeah, just to go with them, to be involved. But every time I go, it was just so boring. You know, you kneel down, stand up, kneel down, stand up. And the thing about it too that I didn't like was you had to get dressed up to go. Early in the morning, and I'm a kid, so I'm like, I don't want to get dressed up in this fancy suit, fancy clothes early in the morning just to go to church where I got to do all these things this guy tells me, and I can't even talk. I can't be loud. I can't be myself. I have to be in these parameters that the church tells me that I have to be in. But so as I grow up, I become an atheist. Right? I question religion, organized religion. I question all that kind of stuff. And then it gets to the point where I get into heavier music. I still love heavier music. It's pretty important to me, but getting into it at first, the thing that I gravitated to with it as well, besides the music part, was a lot of the people in the bands were also questioning religion. But in a very blasphemous way. And so the rebel part of me liked that. It was like, oh, like, I'm already an atheist, right? I already believe that there's no God. And I felt that, you know, I didn't think that I wasn't right on that. That's what I felt at the time, and that's where my consciousness was at the time. And plus these bands that I liked from the heavy music, and they were talking about the same things, you know, that I was thinking, that God's not real. And they were kind of like a confirmation for me. They was like, okay, well, if these people are thinking this too, and I'll be going to the extremes by, you know, being blasphemous with it, that was attractive to me. I wanted to stand out like that. Looking back on it, that was obviously not, you know, it was something inside of me that wanted to stand out even further than what I was already standing out. Because I felt like I've always been a black sheep, so to say, growing up. And so the family, my family didn't really, or at least this is my perception of it, my family didn't see me as somebody who just walked the fine line and did what was told of me. I always question things, and that would rub people the wrong way. And in a family setting, that would cause some family members to gravitate away from me. You can just tell when you're around certain family members and they know that you have a different way of thinking, different way of living, different way of seeing the world, that their energy around you is just different. I have a set of grandparents who, you know, I've come around to accept them for who they are and stuff, but growing up, I was more attached to one side of my family's grandparents, not this other side, because when I go around them, I can feel that judgmental energy. When I go to my other family, and then those grandparents, they had their flaws too, like any person does, but they at least accepted me. And then actually, the funny part about that is those are the grandparents that I actually went to church with. But it was never from at least my remembrance of it. It was never from a thing where I was forced to go to church. It was just that I wanted to be involved with them to go. But for me being involved and being curious and going, that's what started off me being questionable. Not being questionable. That's what started me to question religion and all these other organized things that was to me was just like this. This does not feel like truth. Biggest part of all, whether I knew it or not, it did not feel like a truth to me, and so I questioned the hell out of it and I pushed against it. And then again with the music and stuff like that, and the heavy music, the extreme genres of music, death metal, black metal, blasphemous stuff was like the norm. And even the merch they made, it was like super upfront and obnoxious and blasphemous and like, hey, wear this around everyone you see in your life. Like, show them how you believe, show them what your beliefs are. And in a way, that's, if you're on that side and you just want to be blasphemous to push that in the face of religious people, you're no better than them, you know? Because they're hypocritical in the way they go about things, but so are they. So is the other side, the ones that are like super blasphemous and stuff like that. It just causes a war between both religion and non-religious people, and there's no love there. So, what's the point, right? But you know, as I get older, and again, you know, I was awakened to my spiritual path on this earth, in this life that I'm living now. Once you're awakened to that, your insights are different, right? Your insights are different because you're downloading different information from a different field than you were before, because you're not on the same level of consciousness as you were before. You've grown past that. You've been through things that have awakened you to ways of being that you weren't privy to before. But you realize that at the end of the day, that is God. You don't have to call it God. You can call it the cosmos. You can call it universe. You can call it whatever you want. I just say God because, you know, I've been brought up to think and be around the term God, so it's normal for me now. So it is God to me, you know. But the place where people get it wrong is like, we'll go back to music, because that's where I can connect to this topic the most, because I love music. I love all kinds of music, but especially in the extreme genre, which I do love still. But there's this pocket of bands in these genres where in the lyrics and the lyrical content and in the music, they're almost like saying, if God is real, then why would he allow this? If God is a real thing, why would he allow all this murder and all this terrible thing, all these terrible things that happen on a daily basis to happen? If he's all powerful and he can do whatever he wants to do. See, that's where they fuck up. They call it a he, and therefore I think that they personify God, which a lot of religious people do. And so they take that as fact, as truth. It's like, okay, well, if God is real, aka this man in the sky, is what they think religious people are thinking. And they do think, and religious people do think that, which is a flaw. But for them to oppose the religious aspect of the man in the sky thing, they're also adding more onto that idea of a man in the sky, because they can't even think beyond that either. You know, they just think it's not true, it's not real. There's just no God. There is no man in the sky. But if a man in the sky was real, aka God was real, he wouldn't allow all these things to happen, all these bad things to happen. He would put a stop to it. So they're like, if he is real, he's the most evil, hateful God who wants to see these things happen all these bad things to happen to his creation. But then when you do the work on yourself, and you actually question every single thing in your life, every single thing around you, every single thing around the world around you, and you realize that God is always in you. It says all this in the Bible, but I think people take all these things as literal, when a lot of this is metaphorical. And also it's just the way the people talked back then when the Bible was written, you know. But when you come down to the nitty gritty of it all, God is in you. God is always in you. You and God are one, I love the Bible verse. I don't know if it's a Bible verse. I'm not up on my Bible. I learned a little bit about it, but I haven't read it to the full like that. But there's a thing that says, I and my Father are one, yet my Father is greater than I, meaning you and God are always together. There is no separation, but God was before you. You are a particle of God. Yes, that is what it is. You are a particle of this all-knowing, all-creative, all-loving being. You are a particle of that. You are one with that creational being called God, universe, cosmos, whatever you want to call it. You are one with that, but he's also high. It is also higher than you. It is also beyond you. Yet you are one. It's a paradox, but so is everything in life. When you really look at things, everything's paradoxical. But that's what I'm saying. So the thing that a lot of these people in bands, they don't realize is like, hey man, just look inside yourself. Look inside yourself. Have some forgiveness. Heal your wounds. And God is going to show itself. God is going to show itself to you. Or better yet, I'm going to say, you're going to remember that God has always been with you. Since the day you took your first breath on this earth, God has always been with you. Right by your side, and he's never left, and he never will leave. And you will always be a part of that. It's just, in this life sometime, we get, we add on things. We add on to our consciousness in a negative way. We pick up things around us. We leave the energy of love and we take it into our personality. We take our personality as who we are. And so with the personality comes all the baggage and all the garbage that gets piled onto us as we live on this planet. But it's until we get rid of all that baggage that isn't us, and we realize all these moods and all these opinions, it's not us. It's not us. It's the persona, it's the mask that we wear. But deep down is that energy of love and creation and all-knowing, the God source in us all. And it's a shame when I see bands, basically waiting on a God to show. It's like he won't show until you show that you're ready to see it. I keep saying he. I apologize because I just said it's not a he. I know this. But the God source won't show itself to you until you're ready for it. Until you yourself are ready for it within yourself, it won't show. It will show, but you might not know. You might not see it because your consciousness is at a level where you're looking outside of yourself for God, but God is always inside. It's always been here. It's always been right here within us. And once you tap into that, again, it's like a truth that hits you like an 18-wheeler, like a semi-truck. It's like this truth that you cannot shake. It's this unshakable, all-knowing truth. And you feel it in every single cell of your body. And that's the crazy part of it. More than anything you've ever known in this life. And then the further you go down on this path, this spiritual journey of love and forgiveness and inner awareness, and you put the magnifying glass on yourself, you realize that, God is real. God is here all the time. But yeah, just an idea that I've been wanting to talk about, and since I, started this YouTube channel, what a better opportunity to talk about it now. I'm sure there's things I missed about it, but I think I touched on the gist of it all. Get to know yourself more. Stop judging everyone on the outside and just realize everything happens for a reason from one perspective, Everything happens and everything's okay and everything's going to happen whether you might not understand why it's all happening, but there's a reason for it all. All you have to do is develop an understanding of who you are. And then from there, things become more clear and things become more known to you as a truth. Like I said many of times in this video, it becomes to you and it shows yourself as an unshakable, undeniable truth. But yes, hope you all had a great day. Happy Friday to you all. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.